Let's turn to today's main stories. Some aggrieved customers of Gold Coast last week petitioned the Securities and Exchange Commission to be able to recover their locked-up funds, but officials of the company insist there are arrangements to pay off everyone's funds. We will be talking to the General Manager, Investor Relations of Gold Coast, Benjamin Affair, once again to explain the issue. But before then, let's have a recap of what customers said last Friday.
I'm here as a signatory to a group's account, and I'm here to withdraw on behalf of the entire group. I've been here for about 10 times. Whenever I come, they tell me to go and come the other time. I'm saving with Kentampo branch. I started going there since October. Whenever I go there, they tell me come the following week, come the following week. The following week has been accumulative till this year. I went to Medina branch. They told me in February, first week in February, which is starting from today and then next week, everything will go on smoothly. But when you go there too, they'll tell you a different story. I don't know why I should spend about 50 cedis for TNT and come here to withdraw 200 cedis. Am I gaining or losing?
No kuramanya me pese me stre na me bisa papa ko sindum se abandi wo ka ye de na yate no enti Ghana fo sika na wo de betuaka.
Actions, we are taking massive demonstration because what they are doing is not fair. I went to my branch. They told me that the manager told me that if I take an ATM card, I can able to take my money small gradually so that my money will be solved. But ATM card has been off. Mobile money that we can use it also is off. Everything has been collapsed. When you come to the bank here, I leave my work over there. I close my shop because of this money. And I came here since last December up to now. When you came here, it said 200 Ghana cedis. And at times, right now, I am in a queue. I'm 370. And the money up to now, I haven't got any money. Look at the time.
So you can see some customers of GN Savings and Loans, pouring out their agitation. Let's speak with one man. Boss, your name and where you're coming from?
My name is Steven. I'm coming from Michelle Camp, Butchery. I save at Tema branch. I have investment there, and my salary even have been passing there. Anytime my salary pass here, when I came, they said come and take 200. I'm a pensioner. I have children. I have grandchildren in the house. I have to pay my light bill, I have to pay my water bill and those kind of things. But anytime I come to the bank here, I started coming here from 31st October to this 1st February. When I come 200, they will detain whatever they will give it to you. Our Papa Kosi tell us that by March, everything will be solved. Yesterday, March, by November 31st, he said we will solve the problem. And you couldn't solve it. Now we enter to December. December has passed. Now we are in January.
Do I understand that apart from your savings, your salary is also locked up?
Yes. When the salary comes, they don't give us. They only come and take 200. 200. So I have to travel from Tama to Accra to come and take 200 and travel with it and go back. How much will left for me?
All right, so that was the situation last Friday when customers of Gold Coast went to petition the Securities and Exchange Commission about their locked-up funds. Let's go on to Skype now and speak with Benjamin Affair, who is the General Manager, Investor Relations of Gold Coast Securities. So I guess you listened to bits of what the customers had to say. What explanation can you give them for the reason for which they cannot access their funds?
Thank you very much. But I think the video and the comments are for GN Savings. They're not good.
Exactly. There were two situations where we had customers of GN Savings and Loans complain, but we also had customers of Gold Coast Securities petition the Securities and Exchange Commission. Didn't they?
So I think we have we've told you that the company is working around the clock very hard to raise funds to pay. As I talk to you, their payments will be made almost every week. And yes, we said we'll pay clients, and we are doing that. Of course, not in the same value or volumes that we want. But what we assured clients is that any money that comes through, we'll pay. And that's exactly what we are doing now.
Is Gold Coast in a crisis of a sort?
We have a liquidity difficulty that we are currently resolving.
And how long?
I'm sure that will take too long for us to come out of this.
How long would it take for you to resolve that, really?
Well, we've put a couple of proposals before our regulator, seeking their assistance and their approval so that we can roll out a couple of programs that we believe would help bring some liquidity into the situation. And we've had a very fruitful discussion with the regulator, and we believe that we're going to have that until I keep saying that Gold Coast has done this 25 years. We have made very good investments, but every once in a while, even every good company may have some difficulty. And that is what we are going through. So I believe that what we've done the right investment, and clients will be those benefit from. So we'll plead that our account and patient as we work to resolve whatever difficulty that we have now.
I know that we've seen quite a bit of a financial crisis within the last year. I'm just curious to know what is causing this liquidity challenge which you claim your company has.
There are quite a number of factors. The investment we've made, and we're expecting them to come back that we haven't received largely. So, I mean, if you put everything together, that is the biggest challenge, that is making it difficult to get all these funds or to make the payment. But we are sure with the work we are doing, what we are putting in place, that is something we'll be able to resolve. And I'm sure that we'll be able to take care of the request or the payment of our clients as well.
Well, at the beginning of the interview, you were very cautious in drawing the distinction between Gold Coast and GN Savings and Loans. I'm just going to try to ask you this. I mean, you're not bound to, but what is happening with GN Savings and Loans as well? It's a sister company.
Well, I think GN Savings will be better to answer that. But I also know that this is an issue that will be resolved anytime soon. So, yes, it's difficult for clients. But there's a company that has every reason to stay, to extend its services to everybody throughout the country. So I want to believe this is something they are working on and will resolve pretty soon. I'm sure about that. But JoyNews has over 300 locations throughout the country. The number of clients we serve and the place that we serve clients all these years, right, means that we have a duty to them to ensure we can protect what they have done. So please rest assured that this is an issue that will resolve as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Benjamin Afre, with that assurance that you're going to fix the situation soon. He's General Manager, Investor Relations of Gold Coast. Let's turn away from that, bring you some other news. The takeover of power distribution company ECG by a private concessionaire will not happen soon. Joy Business had earlier reported that the takeover would take effect from next week, but speaking at a Meet the Press series in Accra, Deputy Minister in charge of Power, Ore Kwedu, says they have had some issues with the company, hence their inability to take over ECG as planned. He partly blamed the situation on the PURC's delay in adjusting tariffs.
I think a journalist asked about or mentioned or alluded to the fact that there's going to be a transfer next week to the concessionaire. That is not the case. That is not the case. We have had some issues with some guarantees that was expected of the concessionaire, and that has not been ready. It's not ready. I cannot blame the concessionaire alone. We have had some delays also in the tariff setting by the PURC. That has also gone some way to not helping the concessionaire in providing the guarantees. So we are meeting again in a couple of weeks' time with the concessionaire for the guarantees, and after which a date will be set for the transfer from ECG to the concessionaire.
Meanwhile, the managing director of ECG says any attempt to call for tariff increment due to ECG's debt will not be justified. Engineer Boache Apia noted the issue of tariffs will be settled by the PURC.
Just want to clarify that under the transaction agreement, the concessionaire is not taking on any liabilities. So, from that perspective, we do not expect that there will be tariff increase or decrease because concessionaire is taking on any liabilities. And we wish to emphasize that the determination of tariffs is a prerogative of the Public Utility Regulatory Commission, and they will handle that expertly. So whatever adjustments would come with the introduction of the concessionaire would be handled by the agency that Ghanaians have allowed or approved to do just that. So let us wait for PURC to make the determination before we can comment on whether there is an increase or decrease with the introduction of the concessionaire.
The energy minister at the Meet the Press series also assured that the energy crisis or the power crisis we witnessed last year was over. So we have been asking you in our poll tonight if you believe that doomsday is over. Let's pull up the results. And so a majority of you, actually 53% of you, think that doomsday is not over, and 47% of you are quite optimistic. You say, yes, indeed, doomsday is over. Well, we wait to see what happens in the course of the year. Let's turn to the banking sector again, and 5 local banks that are expected to be recapitalized by Ghana Amalgamated Trust should start receiving their cash from next month. That's according to the managing director of the trust, Eric Otu. There is more in this report.
Speaking in an interview with Joy Business, Managing Director of Ghana Amalgamated Trust, Eric Otu, says his outfit is planning to raise 2 billion Ghana cedis from pension fund managers and investors. GAT, he says, is planning to pay an interest of 21% every 12 months over the next 5 years for the corporate bond. Eric Otu noted that a planned fundraising will happen from next week after the prospectus for the 5-year corporate bond is formally released. According to him, 750 billion cedis of the amount raised in the first tranche will go to support ADB, UMB, Prudential, Sahel Bank and Omnibank. 1.5 million cedis will also be advanced towards NIB to help it meet the 400 million Ghana cedi capital requirement. Managing Director of the Ghana Amalgamated Trust also tells Joy Business the disbursement of the funds to respected banks will start on time to ensure that it meets the Bank of Ghana's deadline of March 31, 2019 for these banks to recapitalize. The Ghana Amalgamated Trust also argues the funds are being invested in these banks in return for equity. This should allow the trust to have some controlling stake in these banks. Mr. Otu reveals that after 5 years, all investors with funds in these banks will get their principal plus interest paid them. According to him, government is expected to offer a 70% guarantee for bonds in terms of the principal and interests to be paid. The bonds will be traded on the Ghana Stock Exchange possibly before the close of this month.
Meanwhile, financial consultant Charles Mercer has been sharing his thoughts about the fundraising exercise by GAT.
I'm just wondering how you'll be able to pay the interest on those monies when the business itself, you haven't seen the success of it, because you probably, as a shareholder, you depend on dividend. So GAT itself is going to depend on the dividend out of the investments. Now, if you are going to use the dividend to pay the interest, we are hearing 21%. That's a bit on the higher side, unless otherwise there's another way around where government would guarantee. But then again, the interest will be paid after the 5 years, so it will be cumulative, isn't it? So unless that is the case, but it will be pretty difficult because anybody who buys into a corporate bond expect to have some interest coming through every half year.
Isn't there the problem with the banks? Because some have said that if you look at some of these banks and you look at the returns from the banks over the years, they've been very, very successful with their returns in terms of return on equity and all those things. So that shouldn't be a problem at all for GAT itself and putting in these funds.
It is the quality of the returns, because you see, most of the banks, yes, we're booking profits, but profit out of the loans that they granted to companies, and some of these companies were not servicing the debt. That's why we are where we are. So the quality of the profits in itself was in doubt, because if the profit was sustainable and the quality of it was good, which means that at the time of repayment of the loans, it will be easier, quicker, and faster to get those loans coming through. You will not be writing off some of this huge thing against the balance sheet that has weakened some of these banks. As a result of that, we are bringing the GAT into being. My biggest worry is that GAT itself is going to be funded based on debt, and the application of that debt is going for equity. So I'm wondering why you raise a debt to go for equity, which is also a long term. Maybe we should encourage, rather, not GAT per se, but amend the act. But it will be too late. Amend the Pension Act for the second tier to allow them to participate directly into the company, because they are allowed to acquire equity. So once they go into the equity, it's a different case altogether.
The thoughts of financial consultant Charles Mensah on attempts by the Ghana Amalgamated Trust to raise some funds. In other news tonight, lawyers for the owners of defunct Unibank have filed an application at the High Court seeking an order for the Attorney General to be added as the 18th defendant to a suit that was brought against them by the receiver. The receiver, Ni Amano Dodu of KPMG, sued Dr. Kwabena Dufo and 16 others to pay close to 6 billion cedis, which was allegedly misappropriated. My colleague, Norman Akwaheford, has been going through the writ. He joins me in the studio with some more detail. Norman, let's start first with a background to this story, how we got here, really.
Okay, so if you all remember, Unibank would belong to Dr. Kwabena Dufo, who was a finance minister, and a former Bank of Ghana governor. I mean, this is a local bank that has been in operation for a while, and Unibank was one of the 5 banks that were brought together after their licenses were revoked, and then formed the Consolidated Bank Ghana Limited. That's the CBG that we have. And so this owners of this bank, that's Kwabena Dufo, and all the directors who were sued by KPMG's receiver, Mr. Amano, decided that no, they wanted to fight this writ in court. They didn't understand why it is so, because you remember that they are said to have misappropriated some funds to the tune of close to about 6 billion, and the receiver is looking for money to be able to also offset certain debts that are outstanding as far as Unibank is concerned, and it's the reason why they were sued. So
what's essentially in the writ, and why do they want the Attorney General to be a part of this court case?
Okay, so they believe strongly that the government or Ghana as a state also owed Unibank, and we recall that contractors that had not been paid, these contractors took monies from Unibank, certain transactions that had been done for and on behalf of the government of Ghana. And so if we need to fight this case in court, then we ought to be able to get the Attorney General also to become a defendant, because you can't come after us and after our properties when it's not solely our doing. Don't forget that they are also already in court challenging the whole Bank of Ghana's revocation of the license. And this particular writ, it says that motion or notice for an order joining Attorney General as 18th defendant because it was Dr. Kobna Dufo and 16 others. And he reads, please take notice that Yao D, upon lawyer for the 8th, 10th, and 14th defendants herein will move this honorable court for an order joining the Attorney General to the instant suit as 18th defendant as per the accompanying affidavit in support and for any other or further orders that this honorable court would deem just and proper. And the court is expected to be moved on the 12th of February 2019 at 9 o'clock at the forenoon.
Okay, and just a quick one. Out of curiosity, we see that Clifford Metununu is on that list, even though his name was supposed to have been struck out?
Yes, on that list, he is actually the 13th defendant. But remember that he had also gone to court and challenged that he could not have been added to it, and the court, granted him that. So clearly, if you want to look at it, you want to say that the Attorney General should be the 17th defendant, not the 18th.
All right, Novana Kwahevo, thanks very much indeed. We'll continue to follow that story for you. But on February 12th, there will be a Joy Business Knowledge Series on taxes powered by PricewaterhouseCoopers. You can join us at Movenpick Ambassador Hotel for what promises to be a very interesting session. The time is 8:30 a.m. and the hashtag is IntelliTax. That'll be it for Business Live tonight. Thanks for watching. My name is Daryl Kwao. There's more news on our website, joybusinessnews.com. See you same time tomorrow.